So the battery's almost dead, but aren't we all? I'm about to leave for my 3 p.m. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class here in Brazil. There's this thing called a midlife crisis, which is where you've wasted so much of your life and you aren't really good at, anything specific, that you're like, guess what? I still have the second half of my life to discover a whole bunch of other things that I'm not specifically good at. And I can just rack up these failure points. Believe it or not, failure points are still points. Ha! Gotcha. You aren't a loser. You are a champion at collecting failure points. Win. Everybody has a jiu-jitsu story, and pretty much all of them are boring to listen to, except for those jiu-jitsu stories like the guy gets his black belt at 83 years old because he picked up a new hobby when he turned 70. I love those stories. I eat up those stories. Those are hugely motivating. Especially they inspire me to just push aside everything important in my life until I'm 70-ish, because there will be time to succeed. But my story is the average young dude's story, and that is, I was dealing with anxiety during the pandemic, but weren't we all? And my doctor said, you know what, Daniel, there's medication that you should be taking, but also you need an active physical lifestyle, man. I mean, you're going from the sofa to the office to the dinner table to bed at night. I mean, that's like your routine from what you're telling me. And there needs to be physical activity. And I had already done like 2 years of CrossFit, and I loved it. I especially loved the community factor. I wasn't really good at it, but I loved having a community. And so I went to Google and I typed in Jiu-Jitsu, and there was actually a gym like 10 minutes from my house. And so I walked into that gym for a free class, not knowing anything or anyone, and 400 classes later, 3.5 years later, here I am, still going to the gym.
Caralho, câmera pequena, velho.
This is my coach, Gigante, Vitor. And he actually just came back from Las Vegas. He was at the Masters World Championship and just got back at 3 a.m. But Gigante, I was telling the guys on my YouTube channel about how when I started Jiu-Jitsu 3.5 years ago, I couldn't even do 15 jumping jacks. You remember that? Yeah, he asked me, he's like, Daniel, let's just warm up, do like 15 jumping jacks. And I think I got to 10, and he said, no, that's enough. You're gonna have a heart attack, because of how out of shape I was. But the Gigante and his assistant, Babal, they've been giving me personal classes for about 3.5 years, because that's the only way I could fit it into my schedule. And thanks to these guys, not only is my health better, Gigante, not only am I feeling better, but I've also got my family involved. I have my sons involved in Jiu-Jitsu. So just thank you for the past 3.5 years investing in my life and helping me become a better person. It's hard to put in words how much I appreciate all the time and effort that you and Babao have put into my life. Thank you. And congratulations on the victories that you had at the Masters World's Championship.
Thank you.
Proud of you.
Thank you, Daniel. Essa daí eu entendi.
If someone held a gun to my head and said, Daniel, I'm gonna kill you unless you give me 3 reasons to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, here's what I'd say. It's just a great workout. Some sports, you can stop in the middle of the activity, you can drink a bit of water, you can mess on your phone. But in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, when you're rolling on the mat, you have to obey the clock. And if the clock is still ticking, then there's still time. You've got to put the effort in there. You can't quit. And so many times you get close to quitting just because you feel so tired. But the clock's not done yet. And so you obey the clock and you discover that you are actually able to roll and put a little bit more effort, a little bit more in defense, a little bit more attack into the exercise than you would have thought possible. Secondly, and this is more philosophical, but I really like the philosophy that Jiu-Jitsu has about the ground. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu understands that if you're on the floor, that's actually where Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu starts. That's where it really happens. When you're between a rock and a hard place, it's not that you're going to feel comfortable there, but you're going to feel it's a little bit familiar. I've been here before, and I know that if I just keep at it and put a little bit more gumph into this, then I can find a way out. And I appreciate that as a philosophy. Now, 3 of my 4 boys are also doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. The youngest one is 5 months old, so it's not his turn yet, but soon he'll do Jiu-Jitsu. And I want my boys to grow up having this idea of sometimes I'm on the floor, sometimes I have my back to the floor, sometimes I'm in a really difficult situation, but it's okay if I can just keep taking a deep breath. And even if I have to tap out, that's fine. Life is like that. I think that's a really good principle, a really good philosophy for them to have in life. But thirdly, there's really this community aspect, their sense of getting to know people. At my gym, I've rolled with a dude who makes pizza. That's his day job. He makes pizza. And I've rolled with a dude who's a cop. I've rolled with a guy who's a lawyer. I've rolled with a guy, there's all these different guys from all different walks of life. Find time in their weekly schedule to come to the mat and pursue that same idea of effort, finding your limits and moving a little bit past your limits. Guys, I hope you're well. Thanks for hanging out and listening about this Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu journey.